have been confused as to what Facebook would like to censor and what they allow on their platform. And recently, training manuals were leaked to The Guardian, which indicated what Facebook prioritizes in terms of taking down versus keeping up. Well, we found that comments posted on Facebook about killing Donald Trump are banned by the social networking site, though violent threats against other people are often allowed to remain untouched. Now, keep in mind, if you make death threats against the president, as the head of state, that is something that's treated as extremely sensitive and very serious. But when it comes to average, everyday people like us, well, we got to figure out whether or not those are credible threats.
Well, to be fair to them, that is not totally irrational. So threatening the president's life is A, of course, a crime, but B, something that the Secret Service is obligated to investigate,
right?
And they're obligated to take it down. And to be fair to Facebook, they say they don't investigate death threats against average folks that they consider not to be credible. Okay, now that's a tough distinction, because if you got a death threat, you might argue with anyone who called it not credible. Like, that's like your opinion, man, but I'm over here worried that I'm gonna get killed. So, but they do have to draw a line somewhere, I guess, because because every time somebody says I'm going to kick your ass online or I'm going to kill you online, if they went and investigated that, there'd be no end to those investigations. So,
right,
you do have to be realistic.
Yeah, I mean, look, I totally understand that, and there are empty death threats made on social media and online in general on a regular basis. So they can't investigate every single one. I understand that. Now, abortion videos, though, are also allowed to remain as long as they don't have nudity. So they might be comfortable with gory material, but as long as you don't see a vagina, everything's okay.
Okay, I think I'm gonna back Facebook on almost all these things. So buckle up, and let me declare that I don't know, it's a bias, conflict of interest or whatever. Facebook is a partner of ours, we put our videos up there. I don't think that's why I'm saying it, but I want you to know, just in case you think that affects my way of thinking about it. I think the abortion videos are horrific, and I think there's something slightly wrong with the people who put them up, but totally political speech. And so if you're pro-life, I understand why you want to put those videos up, and I think Facebook should allow that to be up. Nudity, look, it's a tough one. It's certainly less offensive than the gory videos that are allowed up, in my mind.
Exactly.
Right, that's certainly true. On the other hand, if you allow nudity and sex, Facebook just turns into, what was that, chat roulette?
Chat roulette, right.
Yeah, and then all the platforms will turn into nonstop dick pics.
Well, I think Facebook and the way Facebook is treating this issue is just a symptom of the way we treat this issue on a broader scale in society. Because we're okay with bloody violence, we're okay with gory scenes in television shows and movies. We love it, right? We eat that stuff up. I mean, that's part of the reason why shows like Game of Thrones does so well, right? But when it comes to nudity, people freak out. When it comes to someone breastfeeding in public, people freak out. When it comes to showing a nipple on an Instagram photo, people freak out. And it's just really interesting to me because, I mean, we all have nipples. Well, most of us have nipples, right? And I don't know, seeing a nipple doesn't have any type of negative impact on someone's psychology, or at least it shouldn't.
So like you say, it's not a Facebook thing, it's a society thing. It is weird, I've got young kids, and if they saw nipples, they would think no big deal at all. It's part of the human body. They wouldn't even know why that's a big, like why anybody would ban that. That's such a weird thing. On the other hand, as we drive around the city, there's billboards for horror movies and gory stuff and American Horror Story and all this stuff that is really, really gruesome and freaks them out. So this whole idea of protecting the kids, we're doing it all wrong. Yeah, if you cared about protecting kids, you protect them from that kind of violence and gore a lot more than sex. Or now forget sex, nudity, so what?
So let's get to the good stuff, because I'm curious to see what you think about this. Footage of violent deaths does not have to be deleted because they can help create awareness of issues such as mental illness.
Totally agree with them on that too.
No, I think that's completely wrong. I mean,
no, we show violent deaths from time to time.
No, okay, but
and the whole point is to get people to wake up to what's happening. When we, like for example, we'll show sometimes the results of American bombs. bombs, or by the way, terrorist bombs that affect us here in America or in the UK, etc. Because I want you to see how real it is.
Well, I think that this is too vague, because I think under some circumstances, yes, you should show, like the chemical attacks in Syria, and some of the children that suffered as a result of that. There is an educational, informative value to showing that. However, Facebook has been criticized a lot recently because people have literally murdered individuals on Facebook Live, right? And so if you're gonna have a policy like this, I don't know how you word it so it's a little more specific, but you don't want to encourage people to do crazy things.
Of course,
for
no,
attention.
I agree with you. But again, on Facebook Live, how the hell would they know somebody's gonna kill someone on Facebook Live? So we're gonna stop all of Facebook Live because some maniac decided to kill someone live?
No, and no one's even advocating for that.
No, I hear you, and I know you're not. And we had that discussion on another video, but then you want to take that down. Of course, as soon as you know about it, take that down, because I'm not saying that you should wantonly show all deaths on Facebook. So bounds of reason.
Facebook will also allow people to live stream attempts to self-harm because it doesn't want to censor or punish people in distress.
That's slightly weird. It made me question this whole story. So the Guardian has it. The Guardian's super reputable, but really in a memo and somewhere in Facebook, they say, go ahead and self-harm yourself because I don't want to restrict your freedom to show that to the world?
No,
that seems weird.
And look, they're not encouraging people to do it. This is a training manual that tells its employees how to react or respond if they come across this type of content. And by the way, look, to be fair to Facebook, ever since that horrific murder occurred on a live stream, they have hired or said that they were gonna hire 3,000 employees to better monitor the content that people put out. So they are aware of it, and maybe this is an outdated manual, training manual for its employees. Maybe they've changed some of their policies, but I think that, look, you gotta keep in mind, I get it, it's the internet and it's a lot freer than television content. But at the same time, you have to be a little careful because it is a forum where people go to get information, to communicate with people, and you don't want them to come across something that, might encourage them to do something that they shouldn't do.
Yeah, and it's a super tough line to draw. That's why a big part of the reason why I'm largely defending Facebook here, because on the one hand, if you do too much, it turns into censorship, right? Now I'm banning you because I think that you're kind of harming yourself. On the other hand, if you show people cutting themselves or killing themselves, it's terrible, right? Don't do that, it might glorify it, etc. So I don't envy them. I think they're in a really tough spot. They already have 4,500 people whose job is to check for this stuff. They just added another 3,000. So that's 7,500 people that they are checking to, actual human beings to check to see if they're putting up the right videos or not. I think that's doing a lot.
Yeah.
That's a big number. So just keep it real. It's easy to criticize Craigslist and Facebook and Uber and all these things, but we live in a freer world, and part of that freedom is that you're not going to catch every bad thing happening as it happens and fix it immediately. Young Turks now has over 6 billion lifetime views. You know who did that? You did that. We're now larger than CNN, ABC, you name a news network online, we're larger than them. And you built all that as everyone scoffed and didn't believe. And here we are, guys, thanks to you. Build independent media together with us at tytnetwork.com/join.